Welcome back. In this video, we're looking at completing the square, and from completing the square, we go to a vertex form, and then from the vertex form, we finalize the quadratic formula. So I will show you a series of steps on how to go from completing it to vertex and finally to quadratic formula. And from these steps, I can show you how to graph an equation, how to do transformations, but it's basically from the vertex form, we can determine the vertex solution, and then from there, we can find a point of symmetry. All right, on this step, we're completing the square. Basically, we have a formula 8x squared plus bx plus c. We have to equal it to 0. So for now, we need to isolate the x's before we move on to the next step. So first, we see we have a constant label c. We need to remove that, so we need to subtract c from both sides of the equation. That crosses out, and now we're left up with 8x squared plus bx. Let's leave a little bit of space here, equal to, and then we have a negative c on the other side. Now this step is pretty critical to isolate the x's, but our leading coefficient must be a 1. So we need to move, or rather we need to divide by a both sides of the equation. By doing so, my leading coefficient becomes 1. So I'm left up with x squared plus b over a x, and then we have an equal to negative c over a. So as you can see, our leading coefficient now, it's a 1. From this step, now we need to take our leading coefficient where our x is. We need to divide that by 2 and square that whole coefficient. So we will have b over a divided by 2, all of it square. This is the same as b over a. 2 is over 1, so dividing is the same as multiplying by their reciprocal. So 1 over 2. And this is all square. So when I multiply straight across, I am left up with b over 2a square. We need to keep this for visual representation for now. So then we need to add that much to both sides of my equation. B squared, b over 2a all square plus b over 2a, and that will be all square. Alright, on this step, all I did is I cleaned up a little bit because I was running out of space. Now, I'm planning to get a bigger whiteboard, but that will be later. So for now, let's try to find the perfect square here for visual representation. I will be showing you this step. I'm not too worried about this, but let's do this. So here we have the factor, and then I always do negatives because at any time I can change it back to either of the two, to positive or negative. So this is simply b squared over 4a squared. So here I need an x and an x automatically, and then I like to keep it like this because just by looking at it, I can see that the answer is b over 2a automatically. I'll show you that in a minute. Okay. So I know that if I multiply x times x, I do get an x squared. If I multiply b over 2a times itself, I do get this back, which is simply that. But I'm worried about the center here. So I need to get a b ax. So that I do get when I multiplied the, let's see, multiply this x times that. And when I multiply this number times that x. So let's do x times this will be b over 2a x. And in here I have, it doesn't matter, like I said, it's positive or negative. I already know that it's both are positive anyways. So this is positive and that is also positive. So I have a plus b over 2a x. So I can see that these are like terms, and it's more or less as if I have 1/2 times b over ax plus 1/2 b over times, okay, so 1/2 times b over ax. And these are like terms. It's almost like saying 1/2, let's say for visual representation, y plus 1/2 y. I get a 1y, right? Because half plus a half is equal to 1. Therefore, I get just 1 b a x. So I always like to keep it, to keep my number here, just like so. That way I can see that this will always be my answer no matter what. And so we'll move on to the next step. All right, on this step, because these two are identical and they're multiplying each other, once again, they have a power of 1, power of 1. And when you multiply bases with the same, bases are identical bases rather, we simply add their powers. So n2 and 3, that is equal to n5. So therefore 1, 1, so that will be power of 2, or second power. So here we don't have the same denominator. So we have a minus c over a plus b squared over 4a squared. You see this is a 2. So 2 squares simply 4. Now we need to multiply this number by a special one, meaning that we must have the same denominator in order for us to combine these two. So I do see an a, but this one has an a square. So my number 1, it has to have an a there. I need a 4, so 4a, and this here's it's a 1. 4a over 4a, it's a 1. So now I need to multiply this by that number. So on this side, we still have an xb over 2a, all of it square, equal to negative c over a. And now we're multiplying by 1. So 4a over 4a. And we have a plus b square over 4a square. Now the final product will be x plus b over 2a square equal to, this is simply negative. We have negative 4ac all over 4a square plus, this is a plus, b square. So as you can see, this is my final solution for completing the square. So we will take it from here in the next part of the video. but this is completing the square. I end up with x plus b over 2a square equal to negative 4ac plus b squared, because now they have the same denominator, all over 4a squared. So this is completing the square. And now we will look at the quadratic formula in a minute. All right, so at this point you have completed the square. This is our general solution for completing the square. Take a look at that. So from completing the square, we're moving on to the quadratic formula. So you can see that I have a second power here. So I need to remove that second power. So I'd show you in the previous videos how to do that. Remember, this is a power of 2. I need to raise the power to the 1/2, because that will cancel. That will make it a 1. So the 1/2 power is the square root, basically. So I need to take the square root of both sides. So whatever you do on one side, you do it to the other. So x plus b over 2a. Once again, I'm doing, or rather I'm showing you these steps for visual representation. That way you can see what's going on. So at this point, what they do is they rewrite this numerator. So they simply say b squared. All I'm doing is rewriting it. Minus 4ac. You see that it's a minus. This is a plus. So all I did is I rewrote the numerator in a more general format that we use in math. So take the square root. Now this root cancels my second power. I'm left up with x plus b over 2a equal to, when we take the square root of something here, it gives a positive and negative solution. So now this is also implying that I can take the square root of the top and the square root of the bottom individually. So I will show that b squared minus 4ac over the square root of 4a squared. Here I have x plus b over 2a equal to plus minus. There's nothing I can do at the numerator. So b squared minus 4ac over, simplifying this, I get 2a, because the square root of 4 times the square root of a to the second. So the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of a squared is simply a. So I get a 2a here. Now I'm ready to move this over by subtracting b over 2a. And then, so this simply crosses out that. And I'll clean up a little bit and I'll show you the final step. So I will keep this for visual representation. I'll come back and put it up here. All right, so we're at the last step. So simply b over 2a minus itself crosses out. We also subtract it on the other side, and we're left up with x equal to, I'm rewriting it. I'm putting b, or negative b over 2a plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And this is simply the quadratic equation. And you can see that we went from the general form to completing the square, and then finally the quadratic formula. Now you can see the relationship between the two and how you can work out the problem to achieve this solution. So thank you so much for watching. If you have watched my previous videos, I'm pretty sure you're able to get to these solutions rather easily. So there's some steps that I missed, but it's intentionally, because I am assuming you have watched my previous videos and you should be able to get to this point. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, like my videos, and comment down below if you want to see a special problem worked out. I can do that. So thank you so much for watching.